everyone. I'm Trienne, and I'm your leadership performance coach. But today, what I wanted to talk about is this powerful leadership tool that can have a lasting impact, building confidence within your team, that I think too many of us are putting on the side and feeling like this isn't something I need to create within my team. It's something that maybe they need to create within themselves. And I wanted to start this off with a quote by Vince Lombardi that goes, "Confidence is contagious, but so is a lack of confidence." And I think we can all agree that as we come into a shift, as we come into a meeting, as we come into a project, the confidence and the energy that we bring into that product or that project can be contagious. But if we come in with a lack of confidence, then our team feels that and they tend to be influenced and follow that as well. So today, what I wanted to share with you is that you don't always have to be that energy. What we're going to do is we're going to embrace the power of our leadership, and we're going to create an environment where our team members are going to feel more capable and empowered, because we're not just strengthening their individual skills, but at this point, you're really developing the next generation of leaders. So let's dive into 3 different ways that you can start to build some confidence today in your team. The first one that I have for you is that we are going to try to encourage ownership and decision-making. You know, you can say all the time that you try to get people that are on your team to make decisions, but if we're not continuing to let them make those decisions without then changing it with our own choices, then we're not helping the confidence grow within them, because confidence grows when people feel trusted. So we're going to start by assigning tasks that require decision-making. And then, for example, if a team member shows some strong organizational skills, invite them to lead a team meeting or maybe manage a project timeline. Emphasize at that point that mistakes are part of their learning. And then instead of jumping in to fix things, really guide them to figure out their own solutions. This is not a time for you to then go in and say, well, I would have done that a little bit differently at the time that they're done with their project, because now you've built up this confidence in them, but you're taking it all away in one full swoop at the end if you change the process or change the decision that they have made, right? So identify one person on your team this week that you feel like could maybe take some ownership of a small task, just a small task, and give them some clear expectations, but then make room for them to make the decisions. And remember, we're letting them know that mistakes are part of the learning. If we don't make mistakes, then we never figure out how we could have done things differently. And then when problems arise, this could be a whole nother conversation. When problems arise, we won't know how to adapt and pivot, right? All right. The second thing that I want you guys to do is to celebrate progress, not just results. I saw this in a video that I was watching on Instagram today, where she was talking about this from the aspect of home projects. But she said, remember that it's not just the outcome that we want to celebrate, but this progress in between, enjoying doing the sanding, enjoying doing the painting, enjoying remodeling a room, enjoying those little steps, because you're putting love into this remodeling, right? Well, think about that with your team. Leaders often focus too much on those final outcomes. And instead, we want to make it a habit to celebrate some growth, effort, and persistence to see it through. So by recognizing these milestones or even the incremental type of progress, you're going to reinforce the mindset that learning and improvement are just as valuable as that end result or the end success. So for example, if a team member struggles with public speaking, but then volunteers to lead a portion of a meeting, celebrate that courage. Let them come up with their own topic that goes along with whatever the niche of our meeting is today. Really celebrate the fact that they had the courage to step up and create that plan, and give them 5 to 10 minutes of your meeting time, because then someone else may see that and say, oh my gosh, I want to do something like that too. And here you are now providing this this amount of people to step up into leadership positions, and you can start to take some things off your plate so that you can start to add some things that you really enjoy doing or new things that you'd like to try for the organization. So your action step for this one is that maybe this week you're going to make a point to recognize just 3 moments of progress within your team. You want to acknowledge the growth part, and then you want to encourage that continued effort. Okay. So the number 3 thing that I have for you to build more confidence within your team is that you want to develop some sort of safe space for new ideas. The way we've always done things is going to get us to the way we've always done things, right? So we want to give them a space in the environment where confidence can thrive and innovation or talking about change is welcomed. I worked for someone once that their favorite thing to say to me was, the only thing that remains consistent is change is coming. And they said it with such a disdain for change. And it was very clear every time we brought up an innovative idea or something that we wanted to change, because it was a long running business, right? Automatically it was this is the way that we've always done it and this works for us. Well, I love that. And the world is changing on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. So I'm not saying we have to change something little every single day. However, we do have to go out there and really encourage team members to share some of those creative ideas without fear of judgment. And some of them will work and some of them will not. But if we completely miss out on letting some of them share these ideas, we're going to maybe miss out on our next big thing for our business or our team. So one way to do this is by implementing like an idea of the week practice where team members can pitch new thoughts or strategies. You pick a certain day of the week, a certain time frame that you are open to doing those things. Even if it's an idea that isn't fully formed, use positive feedback to show that you value their contribution. And even if it's something that can be entertained, let's give it a couple minutes to say, well, why do we think this will work? How will this help our organization? Share with me 2 people that this might work with. And I'll give you an example of this from a clothing aspect. When you're bringing something new into your closet, when my daughters find something that I may not agree with at first, but I want to welcome that creativity for them. What I will say is, can you tell me 2 things in your closet that you could wear that piece with? Or could you give me 2 events that you feel like you could wear that to, right? Getting them to think outside of the now and like, I want this change right now. So even if it's not fully formed, use the positive feedback to show the contribution or the creativity is valued and like what's next. So your action step for this week is going to be schedule even 10 to 15 minutes at your next team meeting to ask, what's one idea that we have not tried yet that you feel like could improve our results? This could also be a final question at your one-on-ones. Hopefully you're doing those with your team. There's a lot of power in taking the time to do one-on-ones. I have another YouTube training for that that's very quick. But building confidence within your team is an investment that's going to pay off. It pays off in leadership growth, in a stronger teamwork atmosphere, and you're getting this innovation train started. So by encouraging ownership, really celebrating the progress and inviting those new ideas, you're now creating a work culture where your future leaders can thrive. And you may even have some of those up and comers kind of pop out of the woodwork with some of these new practices. And maybe you didn't have a success line in plan, but some of those people will start to pop up and get on your radar. And is that not a great thing? So if this episode was something that you found helpful, I'd love for you to head over to trienne.com/services for more resources. That's going to help enhance your leadership skills, but also you can share those examples and ideas with your team, and anybody can fit in 10 minutes a day of personal development if they know that this is going to help lead them through confidence and impact, and ultimately it's building their leadership lifestyle. All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one.